Hello and welcome to our next video. In this lesson, we're going to get the Visual Studio Community 2015 edition installed on our machine so that we can develop our web projects. So what I did was typed Visual Studio Community into Google, and you can see Free Dev Tools Visual Studio Community pops up, and I've already opened it here. And so you can see now it just gives us a chance to download. So we're going to go ahead and install this together. Now, as we're doing this, when things happen that are going to take a long time, I'll pause the video and then come back. So you should do the same thing. If things pop up in the middle that we need to do while we're doing the installation, of course, I'll restart the video, and you could do the same thing if something happens and you're unsure how to proceed. But that way we won't have to have an hour-long video or however long this takes. It's probably closer to a half hour on this machine that I'm using here just because it's a little bit slower than your machine probably would be, so it probably won't even take you that long. One other thing is I've already installed it a couple times to practice on this machine, so mine will end a little differently than yours, and I've actually run out of my free trial, so I have to sign in with my Hotmail. It's still free, but I will have to sign in. Now you'll probably have the option to skip at the end, and you'll see that when you get to it. Let's go ahead and get this thing installed. So we're going to run it. Of course, we'll give it permission if it asks us to have permission to install. And we can see that it's going to go ahead and get started here. And so it tells us that it's going to take up to about 6 gigabytes for the common or default installation. If you want to play around and add some more stuff, you can certainly select custom. I'm not sure what's under there actually, to be honest, but I bet you there would be things like Xamarin Tools, perhaps, if you're going to look into that, because Microsoft did acquire Xamarin, which is the new framework for doing mobile development through C# and being able to deploy to both your Android and your iPhone devices. So we don't need to worry about that for what we're doing. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at default, and we're going to go ahead and install. And I'm just installing to the default location. You, of course, could change that if you wanted to and give it permission to go ahead and install. Now this, of course, is the process that will take a long time. It does need to download all of the prerequisites. You'll notice it will download some things like Entity Framework. We should end up with Update 2 at the time of this recording. It may even be a newer version by the time you're doing this, and that's okay. And again, I'm just going to pause the video now so that you don't have to sit here and watch this with me. You can feel free to pause it or stop it, and then come back when you have completed the installation. So I'm going to pause the video, and we'll see you in a few minutes. All right, our installation has completed, so let's go ahead and launch the Visual Studio Community 2015 application. Now again, mine might be just slightly different than what you see here because I have already used it on this machine and tested it out and everything, so with that, just be aware. It also takes you to a link on the web to view information about the project and everything as well. So mine launched right away. Most likely my registry still contains my registration. You would have seen a page that said that you need to register or authenticate your account. You can see mine's already there. So what I did was I actually have signed in already as my Hotmail, and so that allowed me to bypass that page. I will try to get a screenshot of that page just so that everybody's aware. You would have seen a page. On the bottom, it would ask you to register or skip. You can skip for the first 30 days. Eventually, you have to sign up, but it's still free. So you could easily just use a Hotmail account or maybe some other email even. I'm not sure, but I imagine it has to be something associated to Microsoft, so probably a Hotmail account like I did here. But that wraps up our installation of the Visual Studio 2015 Community Edition.